Excellent. Okay, Cody, my friend, if I could please hand over to yourself to open our wonderful hui today. Thank you.
Cool. Kia ora tātou. E tu te mauri e, no runga no rangi rangi nui e. E tu te mauri e, no raro no papa papa tuanuku. E tu te mauri e, hei o ranga mo te tangata e. Hai. Tēnā tātou katoa, piki mai, kake mai, whakatau mai rā I roto I tēnei tui topa mō tēnei kaupapa o te rānei. Tēnei kaupapa mō ngā rangatahi, mō ngā taniwha o Waikato. Kia ora. Welcome everyone to the virtual kickoff event for the Waikato Rangatahi Opportunity, He Piko He Rangatahi. Ko Cody te rekone ki te raura tōku ingoa. My name is Cody and I'm one of the youth innovators for this project. Firstly, I want to acknowledge all of you for taking the time to be present. This project is now imbued with your mauri, which will be felt long into the future in the outcomes that come from our mahi with and for our rangatahi. Earlier in my karakia, I acknowledged Ranginui above and Papatuanuki below, that their mauri, their life forces be present in all of us so that we may thrive, which is the essence of our kaupapa, shaping opportunities for our rangatahi to thrive. Now I'd like to take us through the whakapapa of the Māori name for this project, He Piko He Rangatahi. Now some of you might be familiar with the Waikato pepeha, which is ko Taupiri te maunga, Taupiri is the mountain, ko Waikato te awa, Waikato is the river, ko Tainui te waka, Tainui is the vessel, ko Waikato te iwi, Waikato is the people. Ko pō tātou te wherewhero te tangata, pō tātou te wherewhero is the person. He piko, he taniwha, around every bend is a chief. He piko, he taniwha, around every bend is a chief. Waikato taniwharau, Waikato of 100 chiefs. Now the phrase, he piko, he rangatahi symbolises rangatahi as chiefs in their own right and is an underpinning principle in what we do and will continue to do on this project. Acknowledging and enhancing the mana of every rangatahi, viewing them as a chief with their own histories, their own responsibilities, as an individual rather than a monolithic group is what we aim for all of Waikato to embody. Ko waio, as I said, my name is Cody, and amplifying rangatahi voices is my life's work. My journey with this kaupapa started at the national level in the social equity space for UN Youth New Zealand. With a background in education and employment, I now work in career development as a pathways coordinator at Rotatuna High School. So there are around 62 of us here, or hang on, there should be around 62 of us here. There's around 40, almost there. 43 of us who are representatives of our communities, all of our tupuna that walked before us, the connections we have today, and all of our mokopuna to follow. And the purpose of our wānanga here is to share our mahi to date, go over our project approach and how we can work together on that, and to ask for your feedback. If you have a question at any point, please pop it in the chat box for our question master Dooge. If we're unable to address them today, we'll be recording them and following them up with answers as soon as we can. We'll also be following up with you to collect general feedback following this wānanga, and contact details will be made available for anyone wanting to have a direct kōrero. So there will be multiple opportunities for you to voice your feedback. And with that, I'll now pass the rākau to the rest of our core project team to introduce themselves.
Kia ora everybody, my name is Charlotte Mitchell and I'm one of the youth innovators on this project. I'm super excited to be working on this. So my background really started last year when I was a youth advocate for the Electoral Commission, and from there I've been involved with different sort of mechanisms in engaging with youth. So coming onto this project, I'm really excited to utilise my skills and work within an amazing core project team to get some really amazing mahi done. So thank you so much for all being here, and it's really exciting to see some faces and put faces to names and get this project kicked off. So thank you all for coming, and I'll pass it on to Lana.
Thanks, Charlotte. Assalamu alaikum and kia ora, everyone. Ko rana tōku ingoa. Just like these two amazing peeps, I also started my journey as a community liaison with the Electoral Commission, and that's kind of where my journey working with youth began. I'm also a director on the Waikato Student Union Board, and through that I was able to engage more with the voices of the university. And I'm so excited to be working on this kaupapa with this amazing team, and I look forward to hearing all your insights and wisdom.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Tauranga moana, maua o maunga, nā te rangi nui, nā te rangi, nā te pukenga, e tau nei. Yes, kia ora kutui hana oia hau. Hail from a beautiful place called Tauranga Moana, but lived here in the Waikato for quite some time, and my children affiliate to Ngāti Kuriki Kahukura out at Pohara Marae, and also to Waihipa out near Rahui Pōkeka. So yeah, I'm super stoked to be a part of the core project team, and I am kaiarahi with regards to the wellbeing space. Wellbeing is an incredible space for me, incredibly passionate about it, and I feel very blessed to be on this project. So kia ora. And over to the next person.
What's up, whānau? Kia ora e tiwi, Dujon here. Sitting here on this Friday afternoon. I'm sure you've all had some big weeks, so thank you so much for jumping in this call and looping back around for this mahi. I work at the Hamilton City Council supporting the youth sector, but I'm currently on secondment at the WISE group. We're building the biggest youth space in the world, maybe not in the world. And it's, it'll be really cool to work with you all. Aside from that, I'm the youth engagement mentor on this project. So I'm really here to support the youth innovators, make sure they got really good practice around engaging with youth, but also to support, keep safe and enhance the mana of the youth that we engage with. So that's me.
Kia ora koutou. Tanya Jones, project facilitator. I've been fortunate enough to be involved in the Waikato Wellbeing Project across the last 18 months within various capacities, mainly within developing the wellbeing targets and also facilitating some of the mahi that we did late last year, with naturally a focus on rangatahi. So my role as project facilitator is to also support our wonderful youth innovators. I have a background in community engagement, education and design thinking, and I am excited to be able to share with you our mahi to date and also our pathway moving forward, so that we may collaborate together to create more equitable outcomes for our young people. Thank you. Over to Harvey.
Well, thank you, Tanya, and tēnā koutou katoa, ko Harvey Brooks toku ingoa. I'm the Executive Director of the Waikato Wellbeing Project, and just really super excited that this really important piece of work has got to this stage, and to have so many amazing people online being part of the mahi today just really proves the worth and the importance of it. And I just really want to taitoko Cody in terms of what you said and amplifying rangatahi voices. So as a non-rangatahi, I'll stop talking right now. Kia ora.
Thank you, Harvey. And I would love for Mary Jensen, as one of our wonderful Manutaki wellbeing target leaders, to also introduce yourself, please, Mary.
Kia ora koutou katoa, ko Mary Jensen tōku ingoa, Thank you very much for the invitation today, and I speak on behalf of Joe Graham, pictured here, Rachel Corrales, and also Rosie Sprague from Te Waka as Manutaki. We are just here to help provide a bit of direction and scope around this wonderful mahi. I'm so excited after about 30 years of working in this space that this movement is coming of age, and to have young people leading a lot of it is just so exciting. So congratulations everyone, and I'm very excited. And if anyone out there doesn't know me yet, please contact me to have a chat about your involvement in this also. Many thanks. Kia ora.
Thank you, Miriam. Dana.
Cool. So just to provide some context before we delve into the vision, you may all be aware that in 2019, 8,000 young people were not actively involved in education, employment, or training, and that has increased to 8,300 in 2020. We also know that 22,760, and about 28% of young people in the Waikato are excluded and disadvantaged as of 2020. And that was an increase from the previous year. So following the statistics, that helped shape the vision of this project, which is that we want all of our young people to be engaged, thriving, and are learning or earning a livelihood. Their mana is enhanced and they are on a positive pathway to have many life options. Our collective target is to increase the number of young people who are actively engaged in meaningful employment, education, or training from 87.4 in 2019 to no less than 95% by 2030. This project is also taking a focus on Māori and Pacific young people.
Thank you, Rana. Now, there are some very familiar faces on the Zoom, so I wanted to provide a bit of an overview as well around our journey to date. So some of you may have already attended our hui, which was held late last November, where we were able to identify three key themes. So as a collective, which was around 60 plus organizations, the feedback was that there needs to be timely access to relevant data to help make informed decisions, i.e. at which part of the journey for our rangatahi will we be able to have the greatest impact. There was also a theme around genuinely and authentically involving rangatahi and whānau, because after all, they know the solutions to better provide equitable outcomes. And also a great deal of appetite and desire around working together. So how collectively are we able to achieve or realise the vision of the Waikato Wellbeing Target, which Rana just went through for us. So the outputs and the outcomes of the hui were able to actually inform the scope of work and obviously the project framework, which I'll touch on shortly. But many of you will be wondering what happened since then. So naturally, there was the establishment of the Waikato Wellbeing Project with the appointment of Harvey Brooks, who you've just met. And then we looked to understand how the Waikato Wellbeing Project could add value and really provide access and tools, obviously, to the community to be able to realise all of the wellbeing targets. So an operating model was co-designed with the community and also Aupō Te Aki. In June this year, I was appointed project facilitator, and again, with the support of community and the Manutaki, we were able to define the scope and the approach. And since then, we've been fortunate enough to appoint our wonderful youth innovators. And we also have support from Nydia through the University of Waikato, who will be undertaking a large piece of research to support us with the quantitative and qualitative data that exists in relation to our mahi. And this brings us to where we are today. Cody.
So yeah, kind of what I'll take us back to what Tanya was saying with our hui, with key organisations in this space, what we like to call our Coalition of the Willing last November. And perhaps some of you will recognise myself and each other. If you weren't there, obviously, we thank you for your time and your valued presence here today. But if you were there, I want you to briefly put yourself back into the hopeful, dreamlike space we created there for our rangatahi, and realise that we now have the privilege and the opportunity to put our dreams and our visions into action. From our hui last November, we've defined the basis of our opportunity as a question, which is how can we create opportunities for our young people to be engaged, productive, learning or earning a livelihood, and be on a positive pathway to have many life options. And through our mahi, we will look to understand why and where our rangatahi experiencing barriers to successfully transition from education to further study, employment, and or training. Where should our collective energies be focused to make the greatest impact for our rangatahi? What solutions or ideas would make the greatest difference for our rangatahi and their whānau? How might we involve whānau, rangatahi, and employers to collectively create insight and breakthrough? And finally, how might we collaborate with young people, whānau, schools, the community, and each other to identify which initiatives to scale for impact that lead to our rangatahi being on a positive pathway to have many life options? You might be thinking, questions, so many questions, but our team is here to show you that we are not just a research project. And now Tanya will now take us through our project framework.
Thank you, Cody. So very good point there in terms of research, not just for research's sake. So I guess the key points that I want to speak to in relation to the project framework, which you'll be able to see now, is that we are taking a design thinking led approach. And what that basically means is that we are putting rangatahi at the center of the design process. And that has obviously led to us having our wonderful youth innovators. So for rangatahi, by rangatahi, so that we can authentically capture the voices of our young people and also their lived experience. And we are looking at a place-based approach. So again, to reiterate, in terms of the framework, it will be the communities that we will be supporting and facilitating this process that will further define the implementation of obviously the approach. So we have identified Hamilton's or Kirikiriroa, and are also working with Fern, the Fairfield and Enderley Resilience Group, around potentially working through their network. And we've also had a recent korero in Tokoroa to look at how we might facilitate the process there also. So with the understanding systemic challenges and also working collaboratively, one key output is that we'll actually be combining the quantitative and qualitative data, which I mentioned, that Nydia will be supporting us with, along with the lived experiences of our rangatahi. Rana will touch a little bit more around this. However, our plan is to interview, so one-on-one interviews with up to 35 rangatahi from diverse backgrounds to be able to capture what are some of their challenges and where are the opportunities, as well as their individual aspirations. And this will help us to truly understand where along the journey and where within the system do we need to place our energy and our araha into. So I just wanted to touch on the phases and stages. Cody's just taken you through some of the questions that have helped us to frame our project. So really those questions are acting as a compass to help guide us. What do we already know? What don't we already know? So really being able to build on existing research and knowledge, as well as address some of the gaps that we have collectively. We then come to the empathize stage. This is a really critical stage. And again, this is where we'll capture the lived experience of our rangatahi, as well as other groups that we've identified, and where we will combine the research to develop actionable insights. So again, not research for research's sake. So we want to be able to uncover deep insights that lead to breakthrough thinking. The next bit, explore and test, is the fun bit. So this is where the coalition of the willing have indicated that they would like to come together with rangatahi to learn what are those insights, what initiatives currently exist that are working well, and how might we accelerate the impact of those initiatives? What needs to happen to be able to grow them? We'll also identify gaps and identify potential solutions that we can test to be able to present at a later date. So a key point there is that we're involving rangatahi across the process, and also this is a core design approach where collectively we are reviewing and making decisions and identifying which initiatives we would like to scale as a collective, as a region. Now the last one is implementation. So now that we have a deeper understanding of where the greatest opportunities for impact exist, we've been able to identify which initiatives we want to grow or boost, as well as new initiatives. We've done some testing collectively to work out various models. We now want to present a case for change. So we have an idea, a concept here, which we've called the Taniwha Den, much like the Dragon's Den, however, with aroha. So this is where we would be looking to basically gather all the core funders, those that have the ability and influence to transform the system for our young people, so that we can present our journey to date, our learnings, and obviously the solutions that we are wanting to grow. From the Taniwha Den, there will be an expectation that our wonderful Taniwhas will be able to support, whether that be through providing research or nurturing various initiatives to be able, obviously, to grow, or whether they are key influencers such as the Ministry of Education, who are able to take the case for change and use that internally again to be able to transform the system and create more equity within that particular system. Rana.
Thank you, Tanya. So who do we want to learn from? Rangatahi are at the core of this project, and we want to listen and speak to rangatahi from different walks of life and experience. We're wanting to listen and speak, listen and hear from rangatahi from the age bracket of 16 to 21-year-olds through empathy interviews to gain that deep insight. Another category is the 12 to 15-year-olds and that age bracket, because they can provide the perceptions of what work can look like. The Rangatahi Network is an area we want to focus on. We want to learn from you guys, the knowledge, experience, and wisdom you have. So this is a call to all the advisors, the youth workers, mentors, employers, youth initiatives, kaupapa Māori-based programs to share your kete, your basket of knowledge with us. And with that, I'll pass it on to Charlotte.
Sweet. So now we've sort of given you an overview of what the project is and what it entails. Here is the fun bit where you guys can collaborate with us. So we've highlighted some ways in which you can collaborate with us, but these aren't, set in stone. If you guys have any other ideas, feel free to let us know, because we're super open, and that's one of our things that we want to be. We want to be flexible and make sure that we get so much input into this project that it's really all encompassing. So some of the ways that we thought you guys could collaborate with us is one, support us in sourcing rangatahi to speak with. So these are for the empathy interviews to sort of understand sort of the struggles and the things that rangatahi are going through. We only have access to, our immediate circle. So it would be really awesome if you guys could let us know any rangatahi or have any systems in place or organisations where we can go out and have these empathy interviews and get that wide scope. The next is participate in our virtual and physical story sharing. So we are planning to have these around mid-October. It would be really awesome if you guys could sort of participate and see the mahi that's gone into it and sort of see what the empathy interviews have led to and see how our journey is going, because this is all a journey and we're trying to get to the end point. So it'd be really awesome if we could have you guys along the way. The third is drop in for coffees and chats. So we are based in the Impact Hub in Hamilton. It's on Anglesey Street, but honestly, we're open to anything, any times, but we just want to have, you know, that open space that you guys are welcome to just pop in, have a chat. But if you have another time where you'd like us to come, because we really just want to speak to as many people as possible and make that a very broad thing. The next is nominate yourself to be a taniwha for the taniwha den. So if you are willing, you know, like Dragon's Den, but just a little bit more friendlier, we're sort of looking for those people who would like to collaborate with us further and can offer, like Tanya said, and Rana, some resources to help us get this project when we come up with the solution to get this implemented. So if you would like to be a taniwha, that would be really awesome if you could let us know so we sort of have an idea when we get to that. The next is sharing your space with us. So we, as I said, we're based in the Impact Hub, but that's a relatively small space. So if you guys have a bigger one, or there's a really awesome space that you think we could utilize for interviews or workshops, or, you know, these story sharing events, that would be really awesome if you guys could let us know, because that would be a cool thing to also to collaborate with the community on. The next is participating in our co-design hui. So when we come up with the ideas, we've gone through the empathy interview phase, it would be really awesome to have your feedback on some of the solutions that we've come up with. So we've set that to around mid-November, so look out for that. It would be really awesome to have you guys come back out for that. And the next is just sharing your knowledge with us. All of you have so much wisdom that we just want to eat all up and we want to absorb it like a sponge. So it'd be really awesome if you could share our knowledge with us. I might have a little bit of knowledge to share, but I'm sure you guys have an abundance more. So it'd be really awesome if we could hear from you guys. So that's some way to collaborate. Now, we also have a very exciting thing. We're going to be put into breakout rooms, which Tanya's going to sort out for us. And this is just an opportunity. We're in quite a big group, so we're just going to disperse into smaller groups so that we can have a chat and just talk about any feedback or anything. So
brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Charlotte. I just wanted to check in with Dujon. Did you want to add to that korero at all?
Yeah, Maine. Yeah, so for anyone online, I guess for the sake of simple speak, we're about to do cool stuff with youth in a nutshell, and we acknowledge all the expertise on this call, you know, and that you were part of the hui last year, and that you're already doing incredible work in your spaces. So the appetite for working and collaborating, if it hasn't already been obvious, is there. Just two other things too. You're really exciting to have this project led by 3 youth. I mean, they have all mentioned that they work with youth, but they are also youth themselves, which is really, really special. I don't know of too many projects that are spearheaded by young people. So just hats off to you 3. That's really special, and thanks for pushing into this space. And we consumed a lot of information in the last 30 minutes. So when you have the chance to feedback in a minute and also post call, you know, please go for it. We'd love to hear from you, good, bad, and ugly. We'll just take it all on and love to chat with you. Maybe the most important thing was number 3 on the last slide, where it said coffee and chat. Really important to note that Impact Hub is next to Saigon Noon. Beautiful food. And, you know, we don't underestimate the power of sitting down and having a yarn. So, you know, drop through any time. Would really appreciate that. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Dujon. Okay, thank you, everyone. I really acknowledge that there are 43 people on this Zoom call, which is wonderful. What I'm going to do now is to pop you into some Zoom breakout rooms so you can have a little bit more of an intimate korero with our youth innovators. And this will be an opportunity for us to gain some feedback from yourselves, specifically around collaboration, next steps, and key outcomes. So enjoy. Thank you. for everyone to come back from their breakout rooms, which are closing in 6 seconds. Lovely. Okay, I think we have all returned. So thank you. This was a challenging, I guess, approach in terms of having a launch virtually. However, we wanted the opportunity for as many people to actually hear, I guess, the project approach and to be able to meet the team. And so we felt that holding it virtually would be the best and safest way, given our current environment. So thank you so much for participating in that. Before we move forward, I just wanted to quickly hear from our breakout facilitators. So Rana, if you'd like to kick us off, just really a couple of things around what was discussed in your breakout room.
There is a lot of wonderful wisdom and suggestions put forward. I think the main ones was to make sure that we put a timeline or milestones of what we would like to achieve so that everybody can keep up with that and see how they can jump in when appropriate. So yeah, that was one of the main ones that I got out of it. There was lots of gems that were shared, but yeah, and then updating on our social medias and all that so that people can see what we're up to.
Fantastic. That's actually something we can do on Monday to be able to have that out to everyone and pop it on our website as well. Thank you. Cody.
Kia ora, Tanya. Yes, in our breakout room, we had key actionable things, sort of similar to what Dana was saying around sharing the message, you know, along milestones, but sharing the message as far and wide as possible to capture the whole community. And another thing within that was kind of around, because we had some key people who were really interested in the Taniwha Den, and I think nailing the timeline on the Taniwha Den and the framework for that will be super important, because there is evidently no lack of interest or support for the Taniwha Den. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that, Cody. We have Harvey and Amy who are supporting us in the development of the Taniwha Den. So we will be making sure that they can connect back to the Coalition of the Willing to gain feedback, and obviously who would like to be a part of it. Thank you, Cody. Charlotte.
Yes, so we also had some awesome discussions within our breakout room. I think one of the really key ones that I think is really important is we talked about while we're trying to get youth and employment and focus on that, we also want to be mindful of well-being and acknowledging hawara and making sure that we're having an all-encompassing approach, and we're not just not caring about the well-being of youth, and we're making that a forefront and a really important part of our mahi. So I think that's really cool. And then another thing we talked about was just, you know, the communication and working out what's best for with our collaborators, because they're so important. So yeah, so that's definitely something that we'll take away from that. Make sure we'll keep in contact with you guys, because you're also lovely and I wouldn't want to lose contact. So yeah, that's us.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. And last but not least, the wonderful Tui Hannah.
Kia ora, and Harvey may want to add to this too, seeing as he was a major note taker. But first, I just want to mihi to our breakout room. Thank you so much for your contributions. There was a lot of kōrero about, you know, collective coming together and working together, and also lobbying to really ensure that the voice of rangatahi is heard. So instead of government kind of all you know, local government telling us how we should do it, is actually allowing rangatahi to say how they want it done. So I think the sharing of voices and just ensuring that the voices of the rangatahi are heard. So Harvey, did you want to add to that at all?
The key thing I wrote down, Tuihana, was don't just understand the system, change the system, make some noise.
Yes.
Nice. Beautiful.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
Thank you so much. Excellent. So before I hand over to Cody to close, I just wanted to wrap up. I'm mindful of time. It's amazing how quickly time goes when you're having fun. I personally wanted to thank all of you for joining us today. So again, we were able to provide, I guess, an overview and share with you the work in which we are undertaking. And a big thanks to the youth innovators as well for their fantastic presentation and facilitation. The next steps from here, we will be sending out a Google form. This will include links as to how you're able to connect with us, and will also include all of the up and coming events, so such as the coffees and chats, for example, for you to be able to participate in. And there will also be an option for us to gather further feedback, obviously on the project approach, as well as an area for you to be able to identify how you would like to be involved as an individual or organization. So thank you once again. And I would like to now hand over to Cody.
Kia ora, Tania. To close us for today, again, I would like to thank you all for being present and to thank you for sharing your mauri, your mahi, your whakaaro with us today. Yeah, so I actually, before we close, I just want to share a whakatauki that probably a lot of us already know, which is nā tō roro, nā toku roro, ka ora ai te iwi, which means with your food basket and with my food basket, the people shall thrive. And we truly believe in this. It's not just a catchphrase to us. We want our communities to be involved in as much or as little as they wish. Anything that you have to share with us would be invaluable. Cool. Tēnā tātou katoa, pai mārire. Tō tiakina o te aoranga māramatanga e te atua. Ki tō mātou ki hingi te kāhui ariki me ngā tinana e mawiri ana. Tainua ki a mātou i te rānei ae. Nā au te kororia. Nā au te kororia. Nā au te kororia. Rire, rire hau. Pai mā rire. Kia ora tātou.